You woke? Time to get up. Good morning and welcome to Thought You Awoke No Speed Limit Podcast. I'm your host, Alvin. I hope you're having a terrific day. Hey guys, just remember to like, share, and subscribe. And let's get started with today's show. So I wanted to give an update on Dumar Hamlin. I'll try to make this as brief as possible. He has woken up. He still has a breathing tube. He is writing and communicating with his family. I believe they said the first word the doctor said he asked was, did they win the game? And the doctor responded, you're winning the game of life right now. I'm glad to hear this. I'm glad to hear that he's on the road to recovery. I'm sure he still has a long way to go. And you have to watch his baby steps because he hasn't gotten off the ventilator yet. And they have to wean him off that ventilator. They'll keep dropping the oxygen levels lower, and of course, I'm sure eventually they'll take him off. But the fact that he's communicating with his family, he's writing. He can't talk, so he's writing it out. Is a good sign. Hopefully, eventually, he will be able to get off of the ventilator. He'll be back up and walking around. What's his football future? I don't know. Right now, it's undecided. Something was mentioned yesterday, and I didn't get a chance to say anything about it. A lot of football players have to experience this. This is just how that particular world works. He is a second-year player. He is not eligible currently for retirement. Now, I will say this. I don't know how workers' comp work. He got injured during the game, so he got injured on the job. So there should be some workers' comp that handles his health care. There should be. I don't know if that's the case or not. I don't know how they work it out through collective bargaining agreements and all that stuff. Excuse me. But I have heard that the NFL has cut the amount of disability that a player can get from the NFL. And he's not fully vested. So he's only been there for 2 years. I think he had to be there 4 years to even get retirement. He has a salary of $850,000, which is less than a lot of other players because he was, he wasn't a starter at first until the beginning of this year, and he was a sixth-round draft pick. Sixth-round draft picks don't make as much as first and second-round draft picks, or third-round draft picks for that matter. The lower you get, it's like you still have to compete for a job like what they call a free agent, a guy that comes off the street and tries to play ball. So. He started playing this year and he was doing well. He was in the starting lineup and they say his work ethic is awesome. His off the field, from what I understand, he was working with kids. He had this GoFundMe account where it was working with the kids he's working with. That I think it was only supposed to be $300,000. That's up to $3 million. So the family said they're going to put that money towards the kids and other things in that area to continue to do the work he does in the neighborhood. I'm praying that he gets a full recovery. If he gets back on the field, it doesn't really matter to me. I just want him to recover and have a full life. Because this is a very traumatic situation. Like I said, we love sports. We all love sports. And it made me think yesterday because there were some people saying stuff about, hey, we don't really care about that, so we just want them to do what we want them to do. People love to see the big hits on the football field. People love to see boxers in the ring. I was thinking about boxing and all those sports. I said, these folks, when they make those big hits or when they punch each other in the ring or strangle each other, they do damage. They literally do damage. You see fights where people are getting bloodied in the face, you get knocked out. It's doing permanent damage to your brain. Constantly getting pummeled does, not everybody, makes, boxers kind of get compensated a little bit better as far as money goes, but a lot of times they still have to pay out of their pocket for health care because, they come and pick you, the doctors are there. They have to have them there for CPR and all those other things. If you get knocked out, they got to have doctors. I mean, doctors are on hand in a boxing match. And then the boxers have to spend overnight in the hospital after a match. That ought to tell you something. That's a very dangerous sport. a very dangerous sport, but people enjoy watching it. I don't know what it is about the gladiator thing. People like to see two men beating up each other, or in the case of football, 11 men on the football field, or smacking into each other. They love it. I mean, it's something, I guess, in our society that's necessary. That there needs to always be a blood sport of some type, and the price that's paid is so high that we forget that. It ain't like the military. That price is steep, and it doesn't, to me, have the same value as the military. It's like I'm playing for a game. It's for entertainment. It's not for the purpose that the military is, but it serves a purpose in the United States in appeasing people. The value of sports is appeasing people, keeping them happy. That's what sports does, and I guess that's why we love sports like that. You got basketball. It has some contact too. It doesn't have contact to this level. You got baseball. Doesn't have contact to this level. You got tennis and golf that doesn't have contact to the level of those two sports. But the most popular and most deadly to anybody's sports are boxing, football, MMA, all those sports, And then we're getting bloodier because we got bare knuckle fights now that I've seen on YouTube and places like that. It's getting like we have a thirst for blood. I don't know what that is. It's like the more the world turns, the more bloodier we get. And so we don't think about the sacrifice that these athletes make for this. Yeah, they volunteered for this. Yeah, but they're also getting paid for it. But the damage that's done to them is permanent, one way or the other. And like the guy said yesterday, there are people who are making millions of dollars off of these guys and the damage they do to their body. And it's always, think about this. Most of these guys come from the working class. We ain't talking about Harvard grads playing football. There's some. We ain't talking about Harvard grads playing boxing. Most of these kids came up from distressed neighborhoods. White, black, I don't care what color they are. They came up from distressed neighborhoods. It's always the working class people who end up being the entertainers for those who are wealthy. Who be the entertainers for those who can afford a ticket to a game. And, the cost of getting a ticket to a game or any of these sports is starting to go up. That's why TV is so valuable, because a lot of the average man can't even afford to pay for season tickets to a football or a professional football game. Sometimes college football as well. And then when you think about college football and college sports, they're making $1 million off these players. Sure, the NIL has come up now, but you got to think about this. For years, they were making money off of athletes who didn't even have health insurance. They played the sport every day. Oh, you get a scholarship. Great, you get a scholarship, but your mom and dad are footing the bill for the injuries that you get on the football field most of the time. So I'm glad that this young man, Dumar Hamlin, is recovering. I'm glad that this has brought to the forefront the thing that's more important, the people, than the sport. Because people are still asking, is football going to continue the week? Are we going to still play games? It started the moment he got hit. Everybody was getting on Skip, but I said every time you turn on the channel, that's what they're talking about. Are they going to play this game, or this game was important? It was pivotal. No, what's important is the person. But we don't. We were, and in fact, people are already losing interest in the Dumar Hamlin story. There are people who are already turning away from that. Now people are upset. Well, they're not going to play this game. Why aren't they going to play this game? Why aren't we going to do that? They're already upset about that. I don't care about the game. I care about the lives of the people that play the game. I care about those people. I played the game in college. I played the game in elementary school. You put yourself at risk at all those levels for permanent, lifelong damage. And especially at the lower levels, you ain't finna get paid. In college, he's got $850,000 a year salary. It's up to the team if they decide to give him that money after this year. Personally, they need to start giving you guaranteed money as soon as you get there. Your rookie season. They say rookies buy that insurance to protect themselves, but they need to be giving you guaranteed money from the get-go, because football is a dangerous sport, especially if you play what I call the high contact positions, like running back, wide receiver, offensive, defensive line. Those guys, they bang all day. The high contact areas, the chances that you could get injured are higher than the quarterback or a kicker. Excuse me. Kickers and punters and all that, the chances of injury go up. We started the kicker. He could get hit if on a kickoff somebody decided to smack him. Even on a extra point, somebody can run into him by mistake, but the chances are a lot lower. Punter gets a little bit higher because they actually run down the field and sometimes make tackles, so it gets higher. Then we move up to the quarterback. Quarterback's back there. He's protected by those big guys, but when somebody gets through, boom, or if that quarterback takes off downfield, boom, he gets hit. And they put a lot of value on the quarterback because he's like the captain of the field, and I understand that. So I understand why they pay him, but you need to pay the guys up front. You got to put some guaranteed money there. It takes 4 years to get retirement. Most offensive linemen are hurt the very first year they get on the field. Most defensive linemen are hurt the very first year they get on the field. That's where the injuries happen. And people don't pay attention to the fact that they get no name recognition. It's a dangerous sport. It is what it is. It's a dangerous sport, but it's a sport. I tell people the people matter more than anything. Not your fantasy games, not whether you get people to the game or not. And I've heard some nasty things said about players, and I hate when people talk like that. It's awful to me. Terrible. Because I know what they go through and what they sacrifice to play that game. I know what they're doing for it. To something that's really meaningless. If you think about it, to you it's meaningful. To me, it's meaningful. When I watch football, I love it. I love to watch it. I love to see my team win. I'm a fan of my former college, UAB. I love pros. I love the Saints. I love to watch them win. I hate to see players hurt, though, because once I see that, I know the world they live in. And not all that comes with it. Every time a player gets hurt, the chances of him walking back on the field decreases. Every time he gets hurt. And what happened to Dumar Hamlin is so severe, he may never play football again. He never got an opportunity to go beyond where he's at. We shall see. All I can say is we're still praying for Dumar Hamlin and his family. Everybody out there, y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Peace. While the View is busy trying to get rid of Whoopi Goldberg for her anti-Semitic comments, if you want to call them that, let's talk about Richard Santos. So this man has been elected to Congress, barely. He's from New York. He's openly gay. He's 34 years old. He lied about work for J.P. Morgan Chase. He also lied about one very distasteful thing. He lied about graduating from college. He's also possibly in trouble for issues in Brazil where he didn't pay some bills and says he's got an unpaid rental bill. His financial status is unknown as far as where he gets his money from. So there's a lot about Richard Santos people don't know. But the one lie that really sticks out is how he lied about being Jewish. He claims that his family escaped, on his bio on his page, that his family escaped Nazism in Germany. When, if you look into the history of his family was born in Brazil back in the 1920s. And that was before Hitler even came to power. And there is no link to them to anything that was going on in Germany. Santos, however, claims that, of course, he's Jewish. That's his thing. But his family, he's actually Catholic. So, when I say Jewish, I mean JEW-ISH. That's how he said it. And I find that just as racist as anything that you can say that Whoopi Goldberg said on The View, right? I find that just as racist. I mean, some of y'all say, oh, that's not as bad. I say, oh, that's bad. That's, I hear that all the time when people try to talk about Jewish people. They're Jewish. That means they're not actually the people of the Bible. I've heard people say things like Jewish. That means they're claiming to be something they're not. So here goes Richard Santos saying these things. He's lying about this, lying about who he is, and he got elected. So 538 Politics did this poll, and they realized that a lot of the people who were... Same thing with Trump. Trump told a lot of lies. Trump Trump said grab him by the pee and got away with it, right? Trump said some pretty bad things. He admitted that he was a womanizer. He admitted to these things. We know that they covered up the scandal with him and sleeping with a porn star. So we know all these things that happened, and this is sick. It's sad that any of this actually happened, but it did. And all I can say is that Richard Santos is a liar. He lied to the people he was running for. So the question is he actually going to do what he said he's going to do for the campaign promise, or who's behind his finances? Now, they're saying that there's some PAC that's paid him. He paid a lot of money to, or they paid a lot of money to him. There's stories coming out, all kinds of things about Richard Santos. Now, here's the thing. Right now, he's not seated because Kevin McCarthy is still trying to run for Speaker of the House on the 11th vote. That still says he's not Speaker of the House. So Richard Santos has not been seated yet. But the sad part about him, like I said, is that the fact they said, despite all these lies, people have gotten so sober to the fact that politicians are liars and they don't tell the truth that they believe I will vote for a Republican because he's going to fulfill that agenda I want fulfilled in D.C., that he's going to get something done. I don't know how you associate a lying, scandalous person who can't tell you the truth about their family and their family background and things like that, how you associate that with them being able to get things done in Washington, which means they probably won't. This guy's most likely a guy who will sell himself for the highest bidder. He's not here for you. But, of course, now people don't really care about politics. People tell me every day, I'm taking a break from politics. I'm getting away from it. When the house catches on fire, then I'll do something about it. Well, when you're sitting in the living room and the bars are on the window because the politicians put the bars on the window and a padlock on your door that you didn't put there, then it's too late. That's all I'm going to say about politics as far as it goes. So Richard Santos is going to be seated in Congress. He might even be indicted later in the year, but it won't matter because he's already in Congress. So they're hoping this will help the Republicans get their agenda done. I don't see how the Republicans get any agenda done, by the way, with the fact that the Congress is split. The Senate is controlled by a slim majority because actually it's tied 50-50 because Christian Sinema decided that she wanted to become independent who will caucus with the Democrats. And we'll see what happens. We'll see how the government runs, how everything goes, how this turns out. Meanwhile, on the other side of the aisle, down there in the House, you got Richard Santos, who's a liar, swindler, didn't tell the people the truth. This guy's going to sit there and be a member of Congress? I just can't see it. I just don't understand how or why you would allow that to happen, but it's happened because the people voted for him. When there was all the speculation going on that he was lying, that he wasn't telling the truth, people still voted for him. And then they say now they would have voted for him anyway. They hate the Democratic Party so much they would vote for him because they think the Democrats stand for minorities and all the stuff they don't trust. They trust that they're going to leave the borders open. They're going to allow, we're going to give reparations to black people. There's all kinds of things that people on that side, they want to stop. So what they do is then they sign up for the most criminal Republican they can find, the most diabolical Republicans can find regardless. So it'll stop that agenda. That's what they do. They say they're going to work hard for American families, for the working class people of this country. They're not doing anything. They have yet to do anything for the working class people of America. Reaganomics has not worked in this country. It hasn't. The top 1% is the richest people in the United States, and they've gotten richer and richer while the rest of us have gotten poorer and poorer. Explain how that works. Explain how that works. So let's talk about Kevin McCarthy for a minute here. They voted 11 times for Speaker of the House, and Kevin McCarthy has lost 11 times. Largely because of the holdout of 18 particular House members, right? So what he's trying to do now is garner some kind of deal with them. One of them is he's, of course, giving them the power to veto him at any point with one vote of no confidence. So that compromises his power as Speaker of the House because, as soon as we get him elected, the first thing that comes up, they could give him a vote of no confidence, right? Secondly, most of these guys are junior members of Congress. Matt Gaetz, Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene. You say, well, they've been there for about 2 or 3 election cycles. That still makes them junior members. You got to remember, you got guys that have been there for decades. They're powerful. They get to sit on these committees. They get first dibs at these seats because they're at the top of the food chain. You know, Matt Gaetz guys like they're at the bottom of the food chain. Now they're making themselves the top of the food chain. You know, all that talk about the squad, they never blocked Nancy Pelosi becoming Speaker of the House. They never did any of those things when they were when the Democrats had a majority. They never did any of those things. They never blocked Nancy Pelosi's election. Now, she's pretty powerful at the time, so it's probably been hard. But those guys, they could have held up the election process without promises. Now, they got promises, and they got on committees and things like that. But the promise was, as long as you guys vote for us and stay quiet, it won't be any trouble, and y'all get committee seats. And they did that. Now, McCarthy doesn't have that kind of control over his party. He's got some wet dogs out there, that angry wet dogs, and that would include, like I said, Matt Gaetz, Lauren Boebert, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. What is Marjorie Taylor Greene's claim to fame? Think about this. QAnon conspiracists believes that Sandy Hook and other school shootings were all false. She's in the Alex Jones camp. Secondly, she's been spotted at Nick Fuentes, the white supremacist gala, making speeches there. She's also promised to bring Christian nationalism to our government because we need a Christian nationalist government. So that's the things about Marjorie Taylor Greene. One video you can see her chasing around the kids from Sandy Hook, harassing them, saying, "Why are you fighting against our people's right to carry arms? What are you doing? You know this is fake. You know that you're being paid. You're stooges." And I mean, literally following people who were victims of Sandy Hook around. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, Matt Gaetz, you've heard this. He likes to date underage girls. You've heard that story before. He was on TC. I ain't gonna name the guy because I don't like him either. But he was on Fox News on a particular host show, and he almost admitted that he said, "Hey, he didn't know that this girl was underage." But this is not his first incident. So we know that he likes to date underage girls or have them as escorts when he goes to certain places. That's Matt Gaetz. Now, as far as Lauren Boebert go, she's a big fan of Donald Trump fan. All three of them really are. She's a Christian nationalist also. So white supremacy and all those things are all on her ticket. She's no different than the other two in that regards. She barely won her election, by the way. She barely got her seat, but she has her seat. So she is one of those members that's holding out. And what they're doing, really, here's a real sticker to it. They want to get on the big boy seats committees, like the House Ways and Means Committee. They want to make decisions on big. They want to be able to make the big decisions on things by being on those committees. That gives them a little bit more pull than everybody else. So that's what they're up to. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. I think McCarthy may eventually be elected. If he's not, they're talking about some other possible stand-in candidates that could take his place. Who's been winning, and he's not going to actually win, is Hakeem Jeffries for the Democrats. He's been the winning vote getter for most of these seats. So let me put it this way. The Republican Party is in chaos and flux right now. There's the whole Trump wing of the Republican Party. Then there's the old-fashioned the Republicans. The other Republicans. The ones that started the whole Lincoln, the whole Lincoln Project, where they basically were trying to oppose Donald Trump and what Donald Trump was doing. They were trying to keep Donald Trump from becoming president of the United States again, getting elected, yet Donald Trump keeps rearing his head. Now, they say that Donald Trump doesn't agree with, that's what Sean Hannity said, that Donald Trump doesn't even agree with this, but Sean Hannity's been turning on Donald Trump too. So, my problem with McCarthy and any Republican. Except even Mitch McConnell, who's hated Donald Trump from the beginning, they basically just rode the wave of Donald Trump. And they were like, whatever Trump does, that's what we do. We support it, yada, yada, yada. Meanwhile, in the background, they're like, we got to dump Trump, right? So now it gets them in trouble when the mess hits the fan, so to speak. You rode the wave, you kissed his butt, you had yourself all up in his butt crack. Literally, like, doing all that, That's nasty. I'm sorry. But you literally were all up in the butt crack of Donald Trump until you realize he started losing. When he started losing, now all of them are backing off from that. The ones who aren't loyal to that, who don't love Donald Trump, they're being cautious, but they're saying they're not supporting him, including Fox. Fox News is like we're not going to support Donald Trump like this anymore. We're pulling away. I mean, they all should have abandoned him after January 6th anyway, but they didn't. So then what happens is it allowed more of these nutcases to get involved. So you got Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, and Lauren Boebert, and others, because there's a whole about 18 of them right now in the House. They have gained seats, who are this extreme MAGA, whatever you want to call it, the extreme MAGA side of the Republican Party. Then there's Matt Gaetz trying to figure out, how am I going to control this situation? He can't. He really can't. Other than give them committee seats, give them the powerful committee seats they want, give them the ability to have a vote of no confidence against. Those are the two things he can give. He's giving those away. Now, there's some that said that they're going to continue to hold out and they want to continue this mess. Another vote comes on Friday. Guess what happens? Today is Friday, so guess what happens? It's January 6th. Let's see who else, if anybody special, is nominated today. Let's watch what happens. Let's see what happens. But if McCarthy wins today, it sells the whole problem. But I got a feeling it may continue on. But like I said, we've already had 11 votes. Today it'll be the 12th. 12th vote for Speaker of the House. So what does that mean? That means that senators aren't being sworn in. That means committees can't be seated. That means the business of Congress cannot go on until this is settled. Once this is settled, we get everybody in space, in the proper place, then we can get down to the business of doing passing bills and legislation. Now, with the Republicans in hand in the House and the Democrats in the Senate, really the Senate is a toss-up. There's a chance a lot of stuff won't get done either way. Let's just be bloody honest about this. There's a lot that may not get done at all. Personally, this comes from my heart and how I feel about it. I wish the Republicans have the worst run this time around so we can get Democrats back in office. Now, Democrats didn't do it. Part of the reason why Democrats didn't win this time is because they didn't do what they were supposed to do last time. There's one big thing they could have passed that would have helped them a lot. $15 minimum wage. They didn't do it. Another one would have been voting reform. Easy stuff to pass that doesn't really hurt a whole lot of people and actually helps more people than it hurts. But they didn't vote. They didn't pass those legislations, and they probably won't pass with the Republicans office because they're not even going to look at that. We know we need a $15 minimum wage. We know we need. They claim they're going to do everything they can to help working people. Their only thing to help working people is tax cuts, which only helps the wealthy, which does not trickle down to you, the working class people. Not doing anything to lower prescription drug costs other than trying to get drugs from Canada. That's probably what we're probably going to see one of those bills again. They're going to try to hurt the American Affordable Care Act. They're going to do something. They're going to try to do. I believe they will try while they're in Congress try to do something to hurt. It will fail miserably. Thank God. They're going to try to get money for building that wall at the border. That's what they're going to do because they say, it's a border crisis. There is a border crisis. There has not been proper reform from any president since, I think, maybe Nixon. It's been that long. There's no real reform to the border at all. So we can talk about all the problems about all these people coming across the border, this, that, and another. It's like, what do we do with the immigration program? For one thing, we need more border patrol agents. Secondly, we need a clearer path to citizenship. That, again, comes from this other side of the thing I will talk about. I need to really sit down and talk about white nationalism and how it affects both the Democrat and Republican Party. So we're going to have another discussion about that another time. But there's a lot that's going to go on in this Congress. And Kevin McCarthy wants to be the leader. Right now, he's going to be a very weak Speaker of the House, from what I can tell. If you lost 11 votes and only 18 of those come from those 18 senators, you're going to lose. You're in a very chaotic House, and there's a lot that's not going to get done. Just to be honest with you, just to be real with you, their agenda will not get fulfilled, as far as I'm concerned. And that's a good thing. 2 years from now, we can just kind of push back on that. We may even it out in the House, because the Democrats didn't do much better last time. Maybe we can get some more seats in the Senate. But what we need to do is we need to change the flow of this world and change what's going on in the United States. Not to stop freedom, but to continue freedom. You know, I keep hearing both sides talk about freedom. Okay, so here's freedom in the United States. When you do the right things for the working class people of the United States. Republicans claim they want to do the right thing for working class people, but when you're trying to deregulate all the businesses and allow them to set salaries as low as possible and tax cuts for wealthy people while the working class people have to pay for all the stuff that you do, because you just put taxes on other things. That's what the Republicans do. They increase the gas tax, increase grocery sales tax, things like that. I'd rather have someone who get in office who wants to eliminate the grocery sales tax. And we can keep income tax where it is, right? I hope that's on the Republicans' table, but I doubt it. You know, we've been talking about that in Alabama. Eliminate the grocery tax. You know, let's do the right thing for the working class people. Let's try to get those drug costs down low. Let's try to increase the minimum wage. Things like that. Those are good things for the American people. I'm not even talking about the civil rights stuff, because you could help a lot. Police reform would be awesome. And now, what I mean by police reform, you know, all the incidents between police officers and citizens, because, by the way, police officers are citizens, but with a little extra bit of a hump in this country. They're given too much leeway. If we could do something about that, that would be great as well. But all of those are to help working class people. They push this country. They move this country. They do everything in this country. It's not these people at the top, these elites. You know, I remember Mitch McConnell once saying, "Well, it's the top percent that pay all the taxes in the United States. They are the ones that matter the most." No, the people that make this country go matter very much so in this country, and that's the average everyday working citizen. Now, everybody matters in this country, but the average everyday citizen, we need to stop trying to take away their rights, you know, banning CRT and all that stuff. That's not democratic. I don't care what anybody say. That is not democratic at all. We are a democratic nation. If we claim to be a democratic nation, we should act as a democratic nation. So, like I said, Kevin McCarthy, they can't see Congress. They can't get anything done because Kevin McCarthy keeps losing and he keeps running. Let's see what happens in the long run. So, folks, I'm all out of time. I've been talking about this for a while now. But please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And y'all have a terrific day. You have been listening to Thought You're Woke, No Speed Limit Podcast.